Hey guys, what's happening? Welcome to the show. Welcome back. Yes, I'm still wearing a pink pocket poof, and yes, it's still very exciting, but not as exciting as what we are covering today on the show, which is Sunshine, one of my favorite films of all time. You may remember this was on the 8 movies we could never cover on AMA segment 2 years ago. We're covering it today. F that episode. See you guys in just 1 second.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Action Movie Anatomy.
Oh, she's got the music and everything. I almost didn't unbutton my jacket. I think they caught me unbuttoning my jacket as I was spinning and pointing.
So I actually recently listened to the Training Day episode of the Rewatchables podcast, which is really funny because the Rewatchables is a 1 movie per show, hour-long show they do on The Ringer. It's very reminiscent of our show. It has a lot of the same sort of feelings. They do a lot of the same kind of games. And listening to them talk about Training Day, it was funny because it just felt so similar to our approach to that show. And I was laughing about the fact that that episode's been one of the most important episodes we've ever done because it's given us our intro music.
And we changed it everywhere. Yeah. Still Dre became Team Action, the Action Guys, Action Movie Anatomy, and just you and I living our lives being happy when the song comes on.
We had done at that point, 2 episodes of AMA? Or of Schmoes Know? I know our first one we came out.
I'm pretty sure we'd done more than 2 at that point.
We had come out the first time to Danger Zone. And the second time was Take My Breath Away because we were doing the cruise thing.
Is that when we came out with our mothers?
Yeah, I think the third episode would have been.
It was a really weird song choice to come out with our mothers to Take My Breath Away.
Yeah, do you remember Ellis says it? Yeah. He's like, "This is the song that Tom Cruise and Kelly McGillis make out. This is weird."
Yeah, it's so good.
Anyway, guys, we're back. We're here. We're talking action movies on the show. This is Action Movie Anatomy on the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network dedicated to talking movies and all things movie related, as well as pop culture by the bucketful. I'm Ben Bateman. That's Andrew Guy. Boom. This is Sunshine. Boom.
So we said we were never going to cover this movie, which does make a lot of sense because in the earlier stages of the show, this would actually be a movie we cannot cover. It's a secret message. I'm just passing to Ben there on my phone.
Yeah.
But as you guys know from our episode last week, and actually we're only about 30 minutes later from that episode because we're in the future right now, or we're in the past right now.
Yeah, we're...
I like how I always say the same thing. I can't ever decide what to call it.
Yeah, right, because it's a weird thing.
It's a weird thing.
Time travel. It's like science fiction.
It is. It's like The Time Traveler's Wife, but better.
Yeah. Did you ever see that film?
I'm pretty sure I did.
Wait, The Time Traveler's Wife?
Yeah, that's a movie. It's the one with Banna, right?
Right. That's not the astronaut's wife.
Nope.
The 13th floor.
Those are 2 different professions.
The 13th floor.
13th floor.
Gattaca?
Gattaca.
Contact.
That movie's bad.
Gattaca's
real bad.
Never watched it.
I watched it in my biology class in high school.
Huh.
It was really weird.
Did you ever see Contact?
Dude, I forgot to say on our Fight Club episode that my 9th grade theater teacher showed that to us in class.
Gattaca?
Fight Club.
Oh, really?
And she forgot about the Marla Singer and Tyler Durden sex scenes that go on for 5 minutes, graphic and loud, and all the condoms in the toilet and all that. I remember her face turning blood red, but I remember the first time I ever saw Fight Club was in theater class.
Unbelievable.
And it blew our minds.
Speaking of Fight Club, we'll get back to it in just a second.
Yeah.
There's some cool stuff to talk about there.
Absolutely.
But guys, this is Action Movie Anatomy. We covered action movies on the show. Those movies adhere to 4 basic rules. Number 1, the hero always plays by their own rules. Who's the hero of this movie?
Yeah, it's tough. They're an ensemble hero cast.
Is it Kappa?
Kappa. I think the hero is actually probably Rose Byrne. Byrne.
Is it Byrne?
Byrne.
Or Byrne?
Byrne. Which one is it, Marissa? Rose Byrne, Rose Byrne. Fuck my life.
Rose. It says Bryn here on the outline.
That's how it's spelled.
But it was created by you, so.
It's how it was spelled online.
So that's I don't know who the hero is. Rule number 2: the hero and the villain are always the smartest people, beings, things, dinosaurs, what have you in the room. I mean, again, it's not really a traditional formula because
what's his name is? He's like
Searle. You know what I mean?
I'm talking about the villain. What's it, Pinbacker? Or I think is his name?
Pinbacker. Yeah. The guy whose skin gets ripped off.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of the smartest guy in the room, sort of, because he sneaks onto their ship.
And he gets them to come back to his ship. He's able to survive and create his mission. He's definitely the smartest person probably in the whole film.
Yeah, but I don't think in some ways Chris Evans is smarter than Kappa. In some ways Kaneda is smarter. There's not really a smartest guy in the room hero. I don't. Wait,
I'm an idiot. It's Killian and Rose at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I said Evans earlier. Anyway, but yeah. So that's the thing where it's it doesn't feel like they're the smartest. It just feels like they're just like trying to accomplish a mission.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. So rule number 3 of the movie is driven by a police, military, political, or mercenary figure. They're political. They work for the government. That's why they're up on this ship.
That's fair.
They're Earth's last best hope.
And there's definitely explosions in this movie.
Yeah, definitely. There's a movie. Rule number 4: the movie contains a minimum of 1 explosion. So those are the general rules of action movie anatomy. We love this movie. It's a movie that I think when you and I met, there was like a handful that we both really, really adored, and this was one of them.
Yeah, you and I both really love Danny Boyle, but we actually have a lot of things to say about Danny Boyle as well. It's kind of a conversation that's come up quite a bit in our friendship because I adore 28 Days Later and Sunshine so much.
Yeah, we'll have a whole conversation about him as we get further into the show here about overly properly rated with him, but we'll get to that in a second. I do want to give a quick Patreon shout out to Rajko Kerminak.
I love putting those in there. Every time I get to put one in there that's brutal, I'm always like, I can't wait till
Rajko Kerminak and Justin Munn.
Boom!
We salute you,
gentlemen.
You're in the action army. So yeah, that's coming up today on the show. We are going to be talking about Overly Siege, Underly Siege, Properly Siege, Danny Boyle. We're going to be talking about the top 5 Alex Garland films directed or written by, as well as all of the other fun games you've come to know and love, like Thesis Statement and Fist Pump Moment. So without further ado, is there anything else I'm missing that's really important?
Yeah, I mean, I think we should just talk about a small announcement really quickly.
Yep.
We got a great new show coming on the Collider Network. The first episode aired last Friday on Hunter Killer, essentially us just talking about Jerry B. And tomorrow's episode is on Nolan and Fincher. We decide who's the better director, and Danny Boyle just missed for us for a reason.
Because last week on the show, we did David Fincher's film Fight Club.
Yes.
And so with that conversation in mind, we were thinking a really fun conversation here is, with the Dragon Tattoo film coming out, it's not directed by Fincher, but the original one was, or the American one anyway.
Yeah.
And then, this sci-fi film, Sunshine, this feels like a movie that could have been done by either of these directors.
100%.
This feels like a movie that either one of them would make. And Danny Boyle is in their class in terms of the years he was making movies and the kind of movies he was making. He's a little older, but it's around the same, and it's the same types of movies.
And up until, honestly, like what felt like this crazy resurgence of Fincher and the big movies that he made from like 2008 on, right? Isn't that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then obviously Nolan and just hit the run that he's had, period. Danny Boyle really fell by the wayside.
It's also the only one of the 3 of them that's ever won Best Director.
Which is crazy. And I love Slumdog Millionaire.
As do I.
So yeah, I'm really excited to talk about that. And you guys on that Collider podcast network, the Action Guys will be on there. And you have a match against Clark Wolf coming up.
Yes, I do have a match against Clark Wolf coming up. That's in the context of this being taped. How we can talk about that?
We can talk about it. I cleared it with Kristian. We can announce that you are announced to play Clark Wolf.
I'm playing Clark Wolf.
And that's all we can say about it, really.
Exciting.
I think we should just steer away from it
I think
otherwise,
let's stay
right?
away from it
It's always really scary.
Yeah, so I'm the Clark Wolf.
She's Clark Wolf. She's very good. We've lost her before. God.
The live event, that was a brutal loss. Giancarlo Stanton. Never again with Giancarlo Stanton. But I'll be playing Clark, so that's exciting coming up there. Be sure to check out the Movie Trivia Schmoedown and subscribe to the Collider Podcasts YouTube channel, as well as the Movie Talk what's it called? Podcast feed.
Yeah.
That's where you can find the Action Guys, where Drew and I will be talking about all kinds of fun stuff. You can find a Twitter we have for this show and that show combined called @Team Action Show. And if you want to follow me, you can find me at Ben Bateman Media.
You guys can find me at Andrew Guy. And once again, guys, with that new show, go like, comment, subscribe, download, do all the things, because as long as you guys show love to it, it will be there forever.
Forever and
doing
ever.
it forever and ever. So without further ado, should we drop into the trailer?
Yeah, let's watch the trailer for Sunshine.
You want to make fun of how I said all that?
No. It's not what I want to do.
I hate you.
By Robert Capa and a crew of
You know what I
7
want to
left
send a
Earth
link
frozen
to
in a
Marissa
solar
for?
winter.
What's that?
Our mission: reignite
The
sun
Liquor League speech from
before it's too
2014 when I
late.
used this song.
So good.
See if I can find it.
to Icarus 2.
There it is, right there. Draft speech.
You can find that, but you couldn't find an outline I wrote 2 weeks ago, huh?
Yep. You can just put that in that spreadsheet for me. Like secretly actually annoys you.
Song from Requiem.
Oh, weird. They use this in here?
Yeah.
The visuals in this movie are
Are
unbelievable.
amazing.
It's exciting. It is an action movie. It really is.
Oh, it really is, especially with the third act.
Yeah.
talked to someone about Requiem yesterday. First time I'd ever seen it. I had to convince them that Ellen Bernstein lost to Julia Roberts, which was a fun conversation for me to have. And also, I had the ongoing conversation of, this is one of the best movies I've ever seen. I'll never watch it again.
You still never will?
Oh, no. I watched the movie like 20 times.
And it's a particularly beautiful day. You'll know we made it.
But that's just what everyone else says.
So sweet.
Yeah, and I love that. It's a particularly beautiful day. You'll know we made it, because it's all about the sun dying in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. I love this movie so much.
There's a song that plays by a band called Underworld. It's called To Heal. It's a 2-minute song, and it's the music that starts to play when the bomb is going off at the end there in that scene. It's that it's like that synthy, like and it's like beautiful. I listen to it sometimes on repeat.
And then there's also, of course, Adagio in D minor, which is just like the greatest ever.
Incredible, incredible score, John Murphy. It's just the best thing ever. So, yes, there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about today on the show. That is the trailer. It's a strong trailer, not as strong as the film, of course. This movie didn't do particularly well.
This movie did terribly.
This movie bombed.
It was horrible. It opened like a few months earlier in the UK. Obviously, we'll get to it critical and box office, but it was just like completely overlooked by everybody.
So the piece of music you're talking about, Adagio in D minor by John Murphy, is one of my all-time favorite songs. It's been used in a lot of different films and trailers. Like if you remember in the Wolverine Origins trailer, it's the piece of music they use for that.
I know who you are, Gambit.
Yeah, exactly. Just like that. I love this song, and Marissa, if you want to pull up, I sent.
Yes, that's the song. Ben sent you a link to a speech that he gave with this song in the background for our football Liquor League draft. I scream at it a few times, I'm pretty sure.
It's funny, and I think if you want to pull that up, it's in your email, Marissa. You'll be able to find, it's not great audio, but I was playing this song in the background. This is 6 in the morning. All of us boys had gotten together to draft in fantasy football. I used to write these epic speeches. I would take lines from my favorite movies. You'll recognize a couple lines from The Rock in here.
Yep.
And I get Andrew to start screaming that he's a man and he came here to win.
We're already about 4 shots deep. It's 6:30 a.m.
This is so good.
This is amazing. I'm so glad you pulled this up. Can you kill the other YouTube audio?
Yeah, Marissa, you kill the other audio because the music is actually in there.
Oh. I'm in the green right there. Second in on the right.
Andrew, what you coming here to do? I came here to win. You a man? I'm a man. I'm a man and I came here to win. I'm a man and I came here to win. Everybody! I'm a man and I came here to win. I'm a man and I came here to win. Here we go.
So stupid.
Another 30 seconds. I'll see y'all in hell.
I'll see y'all in hell.
It's horrible.
There you go.
This is my favorite line.
It's me, right? Oh my God, guys. Ben and I used to work in that bar for years and years and years, and I think the only reason we kept that job for the last few years was that, well, we couldn't pay our bills. And the other thing was that they allowed us to do a draft on Sundays before they opened.
During football season, we convinced...
blacked out drunk by 10 a.m.
It was such a peculiar experience I would get up at 4:30 and I would
pitch black.
I had catered food and written a speech and had the music.
You were the only person that would look presentable too. You would show up in a suit and a tie, and your hair was done.
Always. Yeah. And one year we even filmed it with 9 cameras, made a documentary film about it.
The editor spent hours and hours of his life.
Never did anything with it.
It's wonderful though. I've watched it a couple times.
It's funny. So anyway, that
what
song
are we talking
was used.
about today? Yeah,
Sunshine. So anyway, back to the show, guys. So the first thing we do on the show after we watch the trailer is we do something called the Thesis Statement. It's a moment where we share the biggest, boldest thought we have about this film, the thing that this movie makes you think of that is the only, the first, the last, the best, and it should never be loose. It should always be almost rooted in hyperbole. I'm gonna jump in first with mine.
Yeah, I just want to say really quickly, our fans are going to die over that video.
Oh, you think so?
That'll be one of the biggest moments of FOMO in their whole lives. Fear of missing out.
Yes, I know what it means.
Are you sure you know what it means?
There's a song by Adam Levine called FOMO.
I didn't know that.
I think it's actually maybe a Lonely Island song featuring Adam Levine because it's funny.
I think we're sponsored by Red Bull now, by the way.
We are. Yeah.
We are. We're sponsored by Red Bull. Sugar-free Red Bull. Find these at your local store.
Nice. Nice live read. Professional.
All right, go with your thesis.
The beginning of the speech is a little wonky because we're switching between audios, but I think that's still funny and people will enjoy it.
You're so upset that it is. We can watch it again.
Do you want to play it again?
I don't want to.
Okay, good. So we're going to talk about thesis statements. My thesis statement I'm going to jump in with is Rose Byrne is the most irrelevant, super famous actress working today.
So true.
She's like
just in everything.
Epically famous. She's in tons of shit. She's in big franchises. She plays Moira McTaggart in the X-Men franchise.
And she's really good in it.
She's incredible in Spy. She's opening in a movie.
Oh my God, she's wonderful in Spy.
She's in a movie that's opening with Wahlberg as his wife this last week called Instant Family, or maybe it's opening this week. She was in Neighbors as the wife.
Troy. She was the beautiful young
She's
whatever.
She's in Troy. She's
Bridesmaids.
Massive actress. She's like a straight up, fully, completely, totally A-lister who, like, most people, if you were to say Rose, like, if you went into a bar and you said, I don't know, take, like, trying to think of somebody who's less famous in my opinion, but okay, like, let's say you walked into a bar and you said Kristen Wiig and you said Rose Byrne. There's no question the entire bar would know who Kristen Wiig is because she's very famous.
In like her actual accomplishments
compared to Rose Byrne's not even close.
It's a joke.
Not even close. Rose Byrne's a straight movie star compared to.
She's
Kristen.
a straight movie star that has been a movie star. Didn't she get famous from a TV show that was like a? Or am I thinking of someone else?
Yeah, she's like back in the day. She's in like Wicker Park, I think. I want to say she's like
Wicker Park, Troy, The Tenants, Marie Antoinette, Dead Girl, Sunshine. But I thought, I know she was obviously on TV shows. Everyone's on TV shows, but. Must be mistaken.
Are you a big Rose Byrne fan, Marissa? Serafini, who is up in the booth. How you doing,
As
Marissa?
always.
I am. I approve of all of her films. She's funny. She can do dramatic. She can do comedy.
Yeah.
And, I always look forward to whatever movie she's in. Sometimes I go to the movies just because she's in it.
And she's exactly.
She's always good.
She is literally an A-list superstar who has been in massive films, who has never done anything wrong in the public eye.
She's never really gotten her due. Like, I think what it is with her is that if, for instance, we found out next year that there was a movie, it was a festival movie with like a really meaty lead role.
Yeah.
And we found out that she was going to get nominated for Best Actress because she was unbelievable
Would
in
be
it.
so happy for her.
And it would also be
Damages. I was right. Damages. That show with Glenn Close. That was the one that really made her popular.
And if she was to get that nomination for Best Actress and even win next year, like, I wouldn't be surprised, would you? Like,
no, of course not.
You would be like, oh, of course. All of a sudden, she'd be super famous.
But because the only other person that's like that is like Michelle Williams.
Yeah.
But it's only over the last few years that people have started to really recognize like how great she truly is.
Yeah.
Even though people have always known Michelle Williams is a wonderful actress.
Totally.
It's just one of those things. I love that thesis. I couldn't agree with you more. Mine is a little more negative, unfortunately, and that's that I think Danny Boyle might be the best director who is the worst at directing third acts.
Oh yeah, you know how I feel about the Alex Garland scripts. They're bad. They're like, I hate those endings. They just ruin the movies for me.
And like, you can blame it on Alex Garland, obviously, because he's the writer. That's who you want to blame for it. But it's also Danny Boyle and Garland have partnered together so many times.
Yeah.
That like, you think Danny might kind of be like, yo, maybe we reel it in a little bit, bro, because the end of Sunshine's cool and all, but no one really likes it. And the end of 28 Days Later is great, but it barely even works. The end of The Beach is ludicrous.
Yeah.
You know, it's like these type of things. It's a total bummer. And that legitimately, the third acts is why he's not in that Nolan Fincher conversation that we had, because Nolan has that moment of third act falling apart in like the Dark Knight films, which sucks. But you look at the other movies like Memento and Inception and Interstellar, and those third acts are some of the best parts.
Yeah. Well, though I think most people hate the Interstellar third act.
I know, but you and I love it now. Yeah, so I truly believe that he is the greatest director who is the worst at finishing his films, essentially. And I think that is why he will never go down as like... he will always be remembered as one of the great directors because of things like Slumdog.
Yeah.
Slumdog is like the most perfect example of a film, but it's also not a Danny Boyle style film.
He also, like, so talking about all the great directors of our time, like if you go over, let's say Fincher and Nolan, because that's a conversation we're about to have on the show. If you go over that whole list, it's like together they've got one or two movies each that are like
misses,
little subpar.
Right.
Following,
Panic Room, Following.
Yeah, there's a couple.
Yeah.
If you go through Danny Boyle's career, I'd say about half his movies are good, and about half his movies suck.
Which is so, because he can make such good movies. Like Trainspotting was so great. Why did he do Trainspotting 2?
Yeah, and like Life Less Ordinary, not very good. You look at like, I love Shallow Grave and Trainspotting. I love 28 Days Later. The Beach is just okay.
For me, it's like Slumdog, 28, and Sunshine.
Trance is not really very good. Like, it's
love this pen.
Trance is not really very good. I do really like 127 Hours. I love.
You mean 27 hours?
I love that movie.
127 hours.
That'd be a funny movie to find a way to do.
We should do This Is the End on here. Wait, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or would we do it here? We could probably find
we
a
could do it
way.
on the Action
We
Guys
could probably
for
find a
sure.
way to feature it on the Action Guys more easily because it's definitely not an action movie.
I really love this pen.
Though it is kind of an action comedy. They have to fight a demon and like some stuff happened last night that was really not chill.
What does he say? What does he actually say? He's like, that movie 27 hours. Or what? How does it?
He's like, this is in my basement where I keep all of my mementos from my favorite films. He's like, this and this, and he's like, oh yeah, that's the thing from 27 hours. He's like, 127 hours. He corrects him. It's the end of the world. It's the best thing in the world. That movie's so
That movie is so good.
So good.
It is. It is. Did we see it together in the theaters or like?
I don't think so.
I just know that we've watched it together, and it's like one of the greatest films for us to watch together.
Like the Danny McBride getting out of the bathtub, slow-mo
In the
walk
yeah.
down, wiping at the toilet seat with his
shoe after he pissed all over it.
and then cooking. His cooking, it's just
yeah, when he like does the
unbelievable.
hands
Yeah.
over the like, so it's literally all the food they have for the rest of their lives, and he's cooking it all for breakfast. He is wonderful in that film.
that whole movie's great.
It is very good.
I would love to do that movie.
Oh, we could do it.
Finding a way. So anyway, back to the show though. I think that's a great thesis. He is, and I think that dovetails nicely into a conversation about Danny Boyle, which is overly sieged, underly sieged, properly sieged. Because realistically, we're going to get to fist pump moment here in a second, but talking about his career, do you think that Danny Boyle is overly sieged, underly sieged, or properly sieged?
Do you want to go first? Are you asking me?
I'm asking you.
Well, I got to pull up his filmography here to really actually like tell you how I feel about it. But
I know all of his films by heart.
I actually shut up. It's hard for me to say that he's underrated because he's won the Oscar, right?
Right.
And it's for a very, very good movie.
Yeah. For Steve Jobs. You love that movie.
I love Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
I think Danny Boyle's properly rated because, look, Steve Jobs, it's almost like he's getting better, too. Like Slumdog, 127 Hours, and Steve Jobs, I think, are three of the best movies he's ever made. And they're all the last, like, those are the last three that he's made, essentially. Before that, it's kind of like maybe it's that young movie maker in him that makes those mistakes, but then it's like also Trainspotting 2 happens. So I'm going to say that he's properly rated because he gets Jobs in 2015, he gets Trainspotting 2 in 2017, and now he's working on an Untitled project with Richard Curtis. The thing is that I want Danny Boyle to be coming out with 127 Hours in 4 years. I want Slumdog Millionaire movies to come up again in 3 or 4 years. I want that caliber of movie to be made by this director. I just don't want him to be given like 10 or like, you know what I mean, like 5 chances in 3 years. I want him to take his time and make a great movie, and that's it. I don't want more out of him. I used to want more. If you asked me this question maybe 5 years ago, I'd be like, Danny Boyle's so underrated. He needs to be making more movies all the time.
He was supposed to do the new Bond, and he dropped out. And
oh yeah, and I was so excited for it.
Yeah, he is a peculiar director whose style I feel lends itself well enough to movies, but like for him to hit on like before looking at this list, if I had said to you true or false in 2011, Danny Boyle directed Frankenstein, starring Benedict Cumberbatch, would you have said yes or no?
I would have said no.
So would I.
Yeah,
I didn't
even know that was a movie.
Neither did I.
I forgot about it.
It's got a 9.0 on IMDb. It's right here's the 7th greatest film out of the top 250. Just kidding, not that part. But it is a 9.
Is it short?
No, this is a real movie. It's a real movie, Jack.
It's a real movie, Jack.
2 hours and 10 minutes.
What the?
Oh, National Theater Live Frankenstein. It's a live version of a play.
Oh,
that's what it is.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Okay, so
we're idiots.
Yeah. Okay, never mind.
But that aside, it's still one of those. Okay. So I feel like he's properly rated. I want him to be given big chances with great. I want him to be able to direct Sorkin in 2020 because he's still of that caliber of director.
I think Danny Boyle's overrated.
I knew it.
I think Danny Boyle's overrated.
You're gonna say it, and I can't disagree.
I think the reason that he's overrated is because if you take away the Oscar, he's not really in the conversation with the other guys. Those guys don't even have an Oscar. They have one nomination. He's got an Oscar win for Best Director. That's like, and it's a politics thing where his movies are well loved. He's a very well liked director. Like he makes movies that people enjoy, but like he's not in the conversation with those guys. He makes too many bad movies. Trance isn't good. It's from a couple years ago. It sucks. Like he makes movies that I don't want to watch again a lot of the times.
And like there's no Saving Private Ryan 2 20 years later.
No.
Because that would be the dumbest thing to do. Why make Trainspotting again? It can never be as good as the first one.
Yeah, it's like there's something about he has his fascination on the kind of movies he likes to make, and his great movies are fantastic.
They're so good.
But he's not the guy that when he has a new movie coming out, he should be in the, well, Danny Boyle has a new movie coming out, it'll probably be a Best Picture nomination.
I just don't understand why he makes those moves still. Because he does do Steve Jobs, and then he takes 2 years to do another movie, and it's Trainspotting 2. It's just like, I don't know. We talk about this all the time on the show. It's the decision making as a director or as any creative artist. It's so imperative to the trajectory of your career, and just the decisions he's made throughout is the reason why he's just not in that conversation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Totally agree. So, all right, moving on to the next bit of our show, guys. We are going to get into fist pump moment. It's the moment where something happens in the movie. You kind of look around. You're like, "Are you seeing this right now? This is so awesome!" You start talking about this drunk at a party, and like, forget about it.
Everyone gets hyped. You start sweating. You're so excited. You're spilling your drink. It's the same moment.
It's got to be. And I talked to the guy who utters the line about this moment a few years ago.
Oh, did you?
You don't know that I interviewed Cliff Curtis?
I just don't remember that you asked Cliff about it. Oh no, I knew this.
Yeah.
I know all about this. Yeah.
I totally freaked out
Jesus,
about it
time flies.
because I loved that moment.
Yeah.
It's my favorite moment in the whole movie. And we're both talking about What Do You See, Canada. We actually pulled the scene here, I believe.
Yeah, if you could pull that up, Marissa. This is my other thesis is that this is the most impactful scene in all of Danny Boyle's career, but it's like the eye dropping, blood dropping to Brendan Gleeson and the baby crawling on the ceiling. Those are two gnarly moments from Trainspotting in 28. I also love this actor.
Please, I can do this.
I know his name.
I'm trying to remember his name in Last Samurai.
Yeah.
Would you?
And the music starts.
Oh yeah.
This is the moment from this movie. It's the one.
It's not even close. What do you see? Because Cliff Curtis is obsessed with the sun.
What do you see? Tell me what you see, Canada.
He spends hours in the sun bay just staring at the sun.
And I love like some of the stuff in the movie, like when he like changes the percentage on the shield.
Yep.
It's so much hotter.
I also love when you see like the power of the sun, right?
Wait, is this actually happening, or is this like some music video version that's adding it all together?
No, this should be it, dude.
Burns out the...
Yeah, it's all the plants die.
Because all the shields are going.
Yeah. I love the power of the sun. It's so scary.
Yeah.
Armageddon, all the movies do it.
Captain, I'm at the edge of the shield. You must sleep now. Captain!
97% of shield in full sunlight.
What do you see, Canada?
What do you see?
She's not gonna make it. Yes, you are.
Yeah. His name is Hiroyuki Sanada.
Yeah. Yep.
This is so sick. He's turning and it's coming across.
Oh, I love it.
He's like, I'm gonna get incinerated.
I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna look right at it.
Canada, what do you see? What do you see, Canada?
What do you see, Canada?
Oh my God!
So dope. So sweet.
Oh my.
That's the fist bump of the movie.
That is.
Has to be.
Oh, I've like got chills just from watching. It's so magnificent.
So I told the story, I want to say, when we did this episode on the actual eight movies we could never do show. But when I went into my local video store in 2008 or late 2007.
Charlie working there?
Yep, totally.
I love Charlie.
And they had a real big TV, like a 60, 70 inch, whatever. And it was, they
They didn't have those in 2008.
Yeah. They had like just gotten a Blu-ray player. And this was one of the first Blu-rays that they got, and they were showing it on the screen to get people excited to buy Blu-rays.
Yeah.
And because it's like the visuals in this movie are gorgeous, like the sun and the reflective panels and all that stuff. I remember watching, like, wow, this is an incredible looking movie. It just was so clear.
Yeah.
And like,
oh, absolutely.
and bright.
That's so funny you say that, because I worked in Blockbuster at the time when Blu-ray was coming out, and we would do that. We would get to pick movies. We'd have to ask our manager, be like, yo, I know this movie is rated PG-13 because of this scene.
Yeah.
We can skip it. But think about it. If you walked in and you were watching The Matrix,
Yeah.
like on Blu-ray, you would want a Blu-ray player because you've never seen.
You guys were selling Blu-ray players, right?
Yeah, we were selling Blu-ray players.
So fun.
I remember people, there was like a crime spree that went on.
Oh, yeah.
Because what happens is all the Blu-ray players were stacked behind the desk near the exit. And someone figured out, because Blockbusters had those double exit doors for a reason.
Right.
But they still didn't lock. You just had to go through an entrance and exit. Someone started coming through the exits because they didn't have handles on the exit door. So they figured out a way to open the exits, and they came in and they started taking the Blu-ray players from behind the counter. They sold like 50 of them in Salem, or in Oregon.
And they were like several $100s.
Oh, it was a huge deal.
Yeah.
Like huge deal.
Big deal.
We picked up security. They started to all get like, yeah, it was crazy.
Loss prevention department. They hired you to tackle people on their way out.
Exactly. For Blu-ray players, which are $40 now. That's hilarious. So getting into where these guys were at, and
You gotta get like a phone now that has a Blu-ray player built in.
yeah, exactly. You got a projector on it. You can stream whatever you want. Getting into where these guys were at in their career, you got Killian Murphy here, who did Red Eye in 2005, and then he did Breakfast on Pluto in 2005, and then he did The Wind That Shakes the Barley in 2006, which like.
The wind that shakes the barley.
The barley.
I saw that film.
Jared Butler passed on that. He was busy doing the orchard tree or whatever. The cherry orchard.
Cherry orchard. Dear Frankie.
Dear Frankie. Killian Murphy is kind of an anomaly. We've talked about him a good amount on this show. We talked about him with 28 Days Later.
His career looked like for a second that he was going to have this like really great career. It looked like he was kind of a little bit like a Jim Caviezel clone for a second, and he was this like real slight guy, and then people loved him, and he was great as Scarecrow, and
he's good in Red Eye. He's creepy. He's a good actor.
He's one of those guys who continues to be in good movies, and he's had the virtue of working with Nolan a bunch of times, and that keeps him relevant. But he's just not really a star.
That's such a good point. If it wasn't for Nolan, Killian just wouldn't exist
He
anymore.
he is the Michael Biehn.
Yeah, of James
Nolan.
Cameron.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. Because like, if he wasn't the Scarecrow, he would have just been forgotten about. And then the fact that he was placed in Dunkirk as the soldier again, it's
And
all just because
Inception.
Nolan loves him, and Inception,
Yeah.
all those things. I really like him.
Yeah.
I understand why. He doesn't have movie star charisma. We've talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, this movie, he's like kind of supposed to be, he's supposed to kind of be like the action hero in this movie a little bit, and he doesn't really.
And Chris Evans, which is funny, and Marissa, thank you so much for pulling this image of him, is I actually wrote down Evans because I remembered that Evans was like kind of more interesting to me than Killian, even though he was the lead. So I like where he's at in his career. Do you want more or less of him, or are you just fine?
Fine with him.
Yeah.
If he's in a movie, I like him. I have a positive association with him because of the good movies he's been in. I'll see things he's in. He doesn't sell me on a movie. Like Chris Evans sells me on a movie right now.
Oh, for
He's
sure.
in a movie, like I'm in.
And he was really good in Dunkirk.
Yeah.
But it was just so weird. And then you got Rose Byrne here on the other side. You got The Tenants in 2005, Marie Antoinette with Kirsten Dunst, in 2006, and then The Dead Girl in 2006.
Yeah, Maria Menounos was the follow-up to Sofia Coppola's mass hit Lost in Translation. This was her next movie she made.
I remember that. The cover's all so
Yeah, it's all
colorful.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Very like Victorian looking. So yeah, I mean these guys. I mean this movie came and went for most people. This is the movie that he makes before Slumdog, and even that movie should have come and gone for most people, but it got picked up by the festival circuit and became like.
Is that why? It's because we've talked about these two people and like how much they're just overlooked by Hollywood? That's why this movie didn't make any money.
I mean,
No
this
one's
movie
going
didn't
to
have
go
any
see a
stars
Killian
in
and
it.
Rose Byrne movie.
So, I mean, Hiroki Sanada. I just said his name.
Yeah, Cliff Curtis.
Like,
Chris Evans is a nobody at this point.
Yeah, I mean, close to. He's probably the biggest star in this movie when they make it because he had been Human Torch for a few years. Like it had failed out, but
Yeah, because he just came off of Fantastic Four.
I want to
did
say
like Not Another Teen Movie.
I want to say Fantastic Four 1 and 2 are like 2005 and 2007. Does that sound right?
2005 is the first one for sure.
And the second one's gonna be 07. The second one's the same year as this.
It's got to be right around there. Yeah, so he definitely is the most famous person for sure.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is in London. Yeah, he's just so. Yeah, what an interesting movie. So moving on to the people that made the film. This is written by Alex Garland, directed by Danny Boyle. We talked a lot about Boyle already. Alex Garland, for those of you that don't know, Alex Garland's a writer. He wrote the novel The Beach, as well as the screenplay for The Beach, directed by Danny Boyle. He also wrote the screenplay for both Sunshine and 28 Days Later, so there's a pattern to the way that he writes his stories. He's kind of obsessed with science fiction and fantastical stories, but he tends to take them in a very like crazy ending direction. I mean, if you think about the ending of Annihilation, it's got kind of a similar feel to it.
So crazy.
The ending of Annihilation is super strange. The ending of Ex Machina is
Also
kind of the exact
super
same
weird,
thing.
right? Like the robots are just out in the world.
Well, and also
And
the
he
action,
dies,
the action sequence. She goes crazy and starts running through it's like an action sequence.
Yeah.
That's what he likes to end
He
his
loves
movies.
to end on these crazy ass like crescendos of action that don't really make sense.
They don't like match the feeling of the movie or something. And so that's
Yeah.
definitely an Alex Garland thing. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about the films that he wrote and directed. So he wrote the screenplay for 28 Days Later, Sunshine, Never Let Me Go in 2010, Dread in 2012. His directorial debut was Ex Machina, which a lot of people really love.
Yep.
And then he also did this last year's film,
Annihilation.
Yeah,
That he wrote and
Annihilation.
directed. Yeah, well, and it's tough because you know I loved Annihilation.
Loved it.
I thought it was visually stunning. I thought it was very interesting. The ending was so fucking weird that I was actually pretty in on it. I actually
Yeah.
liked the way it ended. Ex Machina, I didn't like as much as everyone did. I liked it.
I really liked it.
I thought it was
I didn't
fine.
love it, though,
Yeah. And a lot of people really adored that movie. So like,
Didn't you audition for the role of?
I wish. I hate him. So for me, it's like it's kind of a no-brainer for me when
Yeah.
it comes to Alex Garland. It just goes, for me, it goes 28 Days Later.
Yeah,
I think Annihilation, and then I think Sunshine. I think that's just what it is for me.
that's your top three.
Yeah, like I really like Ex Machina, but I could live without it. Whereas those three movies, I don't really want to live without. And like, The Beach isn't a good movie.
Yeah.
It's just I don't like it.
Yeah. I go Sunshine 1.
Okay.
I go 28 Days Later 2. I go Ex Machina 3.
I'm surprised that you have Ex
Annihilation
Machina
4.
that low.
I really like that movie. I think it's great. I like 28 Days Later more. It's a more impactful movie. It has iconic scenes that I like always remember having seen and I want to continue to remember. Sunshine for me is the movie I've watched the most by far.
Is there a reason why you like Sunshine more than 28? Is it just because of the third act, or is it because of the horror aspect?
Sunshine's a more interesting movie to me.
Yeah.
I think the things that make 28 Days Later great are like I'm like a big fan of the type of zombies. They're really scary. I love Brendan Gleeson in that movie and his relationship to his daughter. Like it has a couple scenes that I really, really like. I'm not a big fan of the ending. I also find that movie to be like just like less interesting. I don't know. Like it's way harder to make Sunshine interesting than it is to make 28 Days Later interesting.
What are the best space movies that have come out recently? I just wrote down Life, Gravity, Interstellar, The Martian.
Yeah. So I mean, if we're talking the last decade, ish, Sunshine. Other like big sci-fi movies, space movies.
It's okay, we can't think of any more. I'm just the point though that I'm bringing this up is that like
Prometheus is pretty cool, but it's not as good as the others.
yeah, all of these movies are not. They are happy with being focused on just the space. And, like,
Arrival's not really a space movie.
no, not really,
on
because it's
Earth,
all on
yeah.
Earth. But like The Martian, Interstellar, Gravity, and Life all are focused on the elements of space. Whereas what happens with these movies that Alex Garland does, or like Sunshine, for instance, is you go up there and you've got enough. We're
Yeah.
trying to restart the sun to save humanity. That's
Yeah.
enough for me.
Yep.
I don't need this like shooter, stabber, slasher film in the third act.
Yeah, he's just there's some aspect of him that he wants there to be action. He wants there to be some pulse pounding aspect of his movie that he needs, and that's how he does it. So yeah, I think we can both pretty much agree that our top three, my top three definitely is Sunshine, 28, Ex Machina, and then Annihilation 4. And I loved Annihilation. I think the visuals in Annihilation are really, really cool. The ending is just too
So
strange
weird.
for
It's
me.
so
And
weird.
it doesn't ruin the movie, but it makes it feel way less cohesive.
Yeah.
Some of the horror aspects of that movie are awesome. Like the creatures they create, the colors, when he
Colors.
cuts his stomach open,
Oh
and you
my
see
God,
him
the
cut it,
thing living
and the
inside.
tentacles are inside the stomach. That's a crazy moment.
Tessa Thompson just vanishing is
Yeah.
like beautiful. The crocodile. There's so much about it that's so cool, but you know, kind of still missed a little bit at the end.
Yeah.
And I will completely admit that. And then the other thing, the other person to talk about here is Andrew McDonald. It's like one of those very rare instances where there's literally like 5 people involved behind the making of this film. Andrew McDonald's born in '66. He's a Scottish film producer and is best known for working with John Hodge and Danny Boyle. He did Shallow Grave, Trainspotting, The Beach, 28 Days Later. And then together with Duncan Kenworthy, he's the founder of DNA Films, a production company, which did a lot of those movies. He did The Parole Officer in 2001, 28 Days Later, Sunshine 28 Weeks Later, 28 Months Later. And then he also produced Ex Machina, which was Garland's directorial debut, all that. And he's also the brother of an Oscar-winning documentary maker named Kevin McDonald, which I don't know who that is, but I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, these guys, Boyle and McDonald, they work with the same actors a lot as well. So you'll see, is it Nicholas or Christopher? Christopher Eccleston, I think. You see him show up in a lot of movies.
Oh, yeah.
He is the
He is the bad guy in this one. Oh no, in 28 Days Later, he's the bad
general
or the captain or whatever.
He's you know what famous action movie villain he plays?
I do. Oh my God, what is it?
Woods Warm. It's like watching a baby.
Yes, exactly.
Raymond Calitri.
Yeah. Yes.
One of my, yo brother Kip comes to me, so I ID'd him.
Is Raymond Calitri your favorite villain name?
It's a really good villain.
Really good one.
Your job was to steal 50 cars, 5-0. Yeah, he's great.
He is really good in that. And he's actually really good in 28 Days.
Maybe I'll catch a Lakers game. I heard we got Shaquille.
Shaquille. Who calls him that?
Also, nobody calls them Lakers game. They say a Laker game.
Lakers game.
Nick Cage was like, I'm gonna say.
He lives in LA.
He's like,
that's the other thing. What the fuck, bro?
That's the best, guys. So we're joking about it. Nick Cage in 28 Days Later, there's this great scene where he like leaves the diner and he sees
in Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yeah, sorry, not 28 Days Later. Gone in 60 Seconds, and he leaves the diner and he sees Delroy Lindo and Timothy Oliphant, and he's like, "What you doing in town, Rains?" And he's like,
"That's a good Delroy Lindo."
And he's like, "Oh, I thought I'd catch a Lakers game. I heard we got Shaquille." And
Which is
like nobody calls it Lakers and nobody calls him Shaquille. Like,
ever.
But like that's Nick Cage.
That's what Nick Cage did. It probably wasn't even written that way in the script. It probably says, "I'm gonna go see a Laker game and catch O'Neal," and he's like, "I'm gonna change this.
Yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna say Shaq. Memphis Reigns wouldn't say Shaq.
Say Shaq. You say Shaquille.
Say Shaquille if you speak properly.
Because Memphis Reigns is a classy man.
Yeah, bad man.
Critical box office. This is where this movie. This is what happened.
Yeah.
Fox Searchlight produced it for $32 million. It was released in July of 2007. It grossed $3.6 million in the States, roughly 2.5 months after it was released already in the UK. It was released the 20th in UK, and it was released in July and excuse me, it was released in April in the UK, and it was released in July here in the States, and it made no money. $3.6 million, made 28 worldwide for a grand total of 32. It literally broke even, and it was number 25 opening weekend. I didn't even write the 24 ahead of it because it's ridiculous.
Crazy, yeah, just bombed super
no one
hard.
Cared. Like,
I mean,
why would you?
This is the classic example of a cult classic. This movie is loved by all that love it, and no one knows about it if they don't know about it. It's. I mean, a lot of the movies that we love are like that. Fight Club's like that. Like these movies that don't do very well.
The Rock.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, you're talking about at the box office. I think you're saying where gotcha.
Yeah. Like this movie definitely was not a thing when it came out.
No.
The only reason it was even kind of a thing was because it was a Danny Boyle movie, and he had done just a few years later. He had done 28 Days Later, and he had done a couple other.
And people actually did, for some reason, like talk about the beach a lot.
Yeah.
For some reason, in the early 2000s, people talked about the beach a lot.
And Trainspotting was a big deal. People liked Shallow Grave.
People love Trainspotting.
I think his movies though before this were like he did that movie Millions. He did A Life Less Ordinary in the late 90s. I think there's maybe one other we're forgetting.
I haven't seen any of those like bad movies.
Millions is okay.
Any of the movies that we haven't talked about, like the big ones, I haven't seen. It's weird. 7.3 on IMDb, which seems right. 76 by all critics, 67 by top, and a 73 by audience. I'm pretty sure that 67 is higher than Fight Club. Fight Club was 63, or was it 67? Okay, yeah.
63, yeah. Weird.
What?
Doesn't make any sense.
Like, how do you enjoy this movie more than Fight Club if you were a critic?
Yeah, no idea. No freaking idea. What's your favorite line?
My favorite line? What's his name? Payne, whatever his name. Pinbacker has a lot of really sweet lines, but I think like one of them in the film is like 80% of dust is just human skin cells or something, which is just kind of creepy. It's one of those weird ones. It's at the end of time. A moment will, I can't remember his voice. Will come
for 7 years with God,
and he told me to take you to heaven. Then the moment, so it's at the end of time, a moment will come when just one man remains. Then the moment will pass. Man will be gone. There'll be nothing to show that we were ever here but stardust. Yeah. Is how he says the end of it. I love the way he says, but stardust. I love that line. I think it's really cool. All the like plays on words with light is really cool.
I really like the there's conversations that I really, really enjoy in this movie. So there's a whole conversation that they have about the decision that they decide to make when they're going to go to the ship, the distress beacon. And it's the way that conversation happens where Chris Evans is sort of like, you're the qualified one to make that decision. Yeah. It's not you. Like, you don't get to do that. We all have jobs here. Like, you're smarter than I am. Like, that kind of his approach.
And that's something they do in all space movies, right? Everyone on the ship has their job, and you do not fuck with their job because they're the best in the world at that one thing.
It's a chain of command here.
Exactly.
You were trained your whole life to do this job on this ship to save humanity. I'm not going to fucking tell you that I know how to do your job better than you. So if you say you are the most qualified person, you are the most qualified person.
And we are going to do it. So you better be damn sure.
So the whole conversation there is really cool. I like that a lot. And I also really enjoy that, like, when Cap is recording his message to his family.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, it's been a while, you know, and like all that stuff is really, really cool. I love both of those sequences.
There's one more that I really liked. It was I think it's another one from Pinbacker, and he says, you and the darkness are distinct from each other because darkness is an absence of something. It's a vacuum, but total light envelops you. It becomes you.
Yeah.
Again, it's just like this obsession with the sun, like it's a drug, like was fascinating to me throughout. I love that like Cliff Curtis would just go stand in the sunroom or whatever.
Yeah.
Or what do they call it? The observatory or the observation room or whatever it is, and just like stare at the sun
And
like
also,
turn
what do
the
they call
dial.
what do they call the observation deck?
That's
they
what I'm
call it.
talking about.
What do they call the like environment room where you can change it to be like waves, or you can change it to be like the jungle? What's that called?
It's so I can't remember what it's called either, but I also just like love the
Simulator.
amount of shield too that you like how much sun you let in, and he always like turns it up one more.
Really cool.
Just so cool. So those are probably my favorite lines.
Yeah. All right. Moving through. We don't have any questions because this was a little bit of a last minute ad. We didn't get to actually post it.
Yeah, it's
before
pre-tape.
this went up. It's a pre-tape. So we are going to get into the last bits of the show here, and that's going to be which action movie category does this film fit into? You have three: totally ridiculous, totally legitimate, and ridiculously legitimate.
What do you think? I'm curious to see what you have to say. I feel like I know what you're gonna say.
I say ridiculously legit,
Yeah, in the middle, right?
and it's just because the last third.
Yep.
The last third feels so like this goes from being like a masterpiece to being like a really great movie.
Because everything about it, even the way they pick him up and stuff, is fine with me. I'm
Yeah.
fine with him reactivating the distress beacon, living on that ship for years, going crazy, wanting to
His,
kill
like,
them
arm
all.
skin torn off. That part's
I'm cool
gnarly.
with all of it. I'm happy with it all.
Yeah.
It's just the way that it kind of turns into a slasher. Like at least just make him a little bit less capable, or
Yeah.
like it less of like a cat and mouse. I don't know exactly what it is, but I couldn't agree more.
And it gets so close to being good too, because like
So close.
it's such a great moment when they're talking to Icarus, and they're like, she's like, there are 5 remaining, and they're like, no, Icarus, that's wrong. He's dead. She's like,
Yeah.
there are 5 remaining. They're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, someone's on the ship.
And it's great. It's a great moment.
That's a great moment, and then it literally falls off a cliff from that
Yeah,
moment.
he just becomes like a psycho serial killer, and then even the way it ends, like with
Yeah.
the bomb going off and like the light and the beauty behind that, it's
Perfect.
Perfect.
I know.
Yeah.
The payload, it's like
right there in the middle.
they also do a great job with in the beginning of this movie, the voiceover, the
Of
first like
talking
minute,
about- yeah.
the way that it sets the stage.
Yeah.
You know, we are Earth's last best hope. They just set the stage really well.
Again, it's literally like if we're talking percentages, it's like 15% of the movie ruins the other 85.
Yeah. It literally doesn't. It's not like it.
And it doesn't ruin it in the sense of like I don't enjoy the movie. I love this movie.
It just tips slightly into ridiculous.
it just goes exactly instead of it being like one of the greatest of all time.
Totally agree.
I couldn't agree more.
So there's just one last thing left to do, and that's called the pitch. So guys, you're seeing this. It's a pre-tape. We're doing this. It's the middle of things, and we told you last week we're gonna be like gone for 2 months. So
Yeah, that's a real thing.
The first thing is Happy Thanksgiving. We're not gonna be here next week. We're gonna take the holiday week off, same as you should. You should enjoy, eat lots of turkey or any other festival ceremonial thing you want to do for Thanksgiving. Whatever your choice is, do it.
Whatever it is that you do to celebrate Festivus.
Yes, exactly. If you want to follow along with anything we're doing, patreon.com/teamaction is a great place to do it. Andrew and I do extra content every week. We do behind the scenes Schmodown reactions. There's a bunch of matches. I don't know when this is airing exactly in relation to those matches, but if you check there, we do behind the scenes reactions to the matches that we're in all the time. So you can get like real stuff, real nuggets behind the scene that you don't know about, as well as top fives. We do, Skype calls with our fans, things like that. So go check that out. We already mentioned our brand new show.
Yeah, the Action Guys on Collider Network, 3 p.m. Fridays, Pacific Standard.
It's a podcast on the Movie Talk feed, as well as a YouTube show on their podcast network on Collider, their YouTube network. So
Yeah. And I think that's it, right? Is that everything? Do we want to announce that?
yes, I think that's a thing. So the week
Yeah.
after Thanksgiving, we'll be back to cover Creed 2, which is exciting. I think Drew's going to be
I'm
gone
going to
for
be
that
gone.
one.
I'm so freaking bummed that I'm going to be gone, but I did make it a point to miss being here for Creed 2, but we will still be covering Revenge of the Sith together. But yeah, we're going to have a guest in here for Creed 2.
I want to say Tokyo is plus 13. So I will be covering this at 3 in the morning for you.
That's
so
crazy.
you won't be able to call in.
I will not be able to call in or the live chat.
Which is a shame.
It is a big shame. I cannot wait for Creed 2. Like, Drago coming back is just the coolest thing ever.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we can get Dolph in here. I'll see if we can get Dolph.
Can I jump in? Because you
please.
know how much I love Rocky.
Oh, yeah.
as well.
You excited?
Oh, are you kidding me? The tickets for Creed 2 are already available.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
She's
Get 'em.
got
I've
us.
already got mine.
She's got a leg
Get
up
'em.
on us. I love
Get
it,
'em.
Marissa.
Excited. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. Marissa, thank you so much for providing another year. We give thanks to you for being an incredible producer and engineer on this show.
Absolutely.
And to all of you guys, enjoy your holiday, and we'll be back, and we expect to give you awesome content for the rest of the year.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.